Hi, YouTube. Suka here for you with another thought of the day. Today we're going to discuss the reason behind the Iran-US war. So, whenever you've been listening to the news these past couple of days, you've always heard of Trump and co being vague about the reasons for the war already. And that's fair, they are vague. Now, the question is, why are they vague? Before this, I'd like to remind you of a certain US policy called strategic ambiguity. Now, this is a policy relating to Taiwan where the US government would never explicitly say whether they would defend or they would defend Taiwan or not against Chinese aggression. The reason why they do that is because if you say that you will defend Taiwan, then then you would commit yourself to being against China because China's policy is that Taiwan belongs to it. If you say that you will not defend Taiwan, then China will take Taiwan. Okay. So there is this concept of strategic ambiguity already. The same concept applies to the reasons for the war today. Now, why can we not say the reasons for the war? Because the reasons for the war is against China. If we were to directly tell the world that we're doing this to harm China, then that would cause a diplomatic incident between those countries and might actually lead to a third world war. Not a bullshit third world war with Iran and whatever they're doing, but a real third world war, the only world war possible, which is US and China. Okay, so how does this affect China? So take a look at the location of China over here. Um, so China's over here, Iran is over here. Now, if you look at the oil breakdown over here, most of their oil, this part over here on top, this middle part over here, and this bottom part over here with UAE and Kuwait, they all come from the Middle East area. Now, you also have another portion which comes from South and Central America. That's Venezuela, which the US already took care of. And you have another portion which is Russia. That's the only part that's left untouched. Okay, so taking out Iran means that you remove Iran from the Chinese sphere of influence and you place it in the US sphere of influence. Now, how do you do that? Number one, by placing a pro American government in charge of Iran. Similar to how Maduro was removed from Venezuela and Delcy took his place and became a pro Iranian leader, a pro American leader. Okay. Now, does it have to be exactly like Delcy? No. If IRGC commander was to take Delcy's place, that would be fine. That would probably be preferable because that's gonna be the fastest resolution. If a revolution took hold, and some sort of king or some sort of democratic council somehow, I doubt how I don't know how they'll do this, but somehow, if they somehow take Iran and become a pro U.S. government, that's fine. That'll work. If uh if Iran has to be divided into three separate states, like let's say the north of Iran gets taken by Azerbaijan, the southeast of Iran get taken by Pakistan, and the middle of Iran gets renamed to Persia, that's fine as well, as long as all three governments are friendly to us. So any of those solutions is fine with us. It doesn't matter which one, as long as the the, the alignment of Iran changes uh, from China to U.S. Now, are we gonna stop selling um, oil to China? Of course not, because that would cause a war, like what happened between Japan and U.S. in World War II. The only thing we're gonna do at first is that we're going to make it so that China pays market value for oil. Due to the sanctions, China pays less than market value for Venezuela and Iran. Now, you're probably asking, can't we just remove the sanctions in the first place so that they would pay market value instead of having to go to war? You could, but then you're still left with antagonistic governments. We want friendly governments, and we want China to pay market price. Yes, we want our cake, and we want to eat it too. We get to do that if we're the U.S. Now, why now? Why does this have to happen now? Okay, so the proximate reason is that it was a good time to start the war because because all of the Kurdish or because all of the Iranian leadership was in one spot with Israeli intelligence, and we got to kill them all, or at least the majority of them, including Khamenei. And I don't think anyone will suggest that that didn't work because Khamenei's dead as well as a lot of his commanders. So we had the opportunity. Okay. Next, why did this war have to happen in the first place? Okay. Now, remember in the trade dispute in the past with tariffs, Trump Trump got stumped because China stopped selling rare earth minerals. So, due to that, you could see that the balance of power has shifted from US to China because China could withhold something that the US didn't have, and the US could not do anything about it. Now, so we need a resource to compete with China. Moving Iran to our side makes oil that resource. Now, like I said, we were not going to remove supply of oil to China, right? Because that would be a declaration of war. However, China knows we could. In case push comes to shove or war did happen between U.S. and China, that would mean that we can remove their supply of oil. Now, aside from that, there's also some other intangible benefits. So, for example, we have something called the first island chain. So this is that island chain over here, with Philippines, South Korea, and Japan. And then we have India, Australia, and Malaysia over here. If you count the Middle East as one, we have an island chain over here as well. So why am I mentioning an island chain that's that's circumventing China? China is an exporting country. The reason why you have an island chain like that with all U.S. backers is that if you needed to, you can block all of their exports and ruin their economy. So that's another reason why we need to make the entire Middle East into a friendly region. Now, aside from that, um, there's also the situation where China is trying to gain allies, and U.S. is gaining allies as well. We have to show the world that the Chinese are not worth it. When push comes to shove, China and their partners Russia will not be able to protect you. Their reputation already took a big hit with Venezuela because they weren't there to protect it, and it's gonna take an even bigger hit with Iran because they were not able to take it as well, protect it as well. And number three, I think number three is gonna be the most controversial reason, and it's going to be some reason that a lot of people may revile because it's causing death for pretty much nothing, or to people who can understand, it's causing death for maximal gain for the U.S. So number three, the U.S. needed a war to win. Um, because of Iraq and Afghanistan, the morale of the United States Army has hit an all-time low. They felt that they could not win any wars because they had performed so poorly in those two wars, and that's why there's almost no appetite in the country to send boots on the ground anywhere. Remember in Desert Storm 1, there was around 300 to 400 casualties, and the country was fine with it. Right now, we're at 6 casualties, and the country is screaming bloody murder already. 6! Israel has taken, I think, 1,000 through this whole 3-year period of the Hamas war up until now, and they're fine with it. Right now, they've taken, I think, 20 from the various buildings and stuff, and they're still fine. So again, our military needed to what do you call that? Needed to have like a practice match with a varsity team to dunk on so that they can regain their confidence. And lastly, we need to test all of our new weapons. We're actually already moved to a new technological age in weapons. Russia, Ukraine, Israel. They're the only 3 countries now that have valid combat experiences with drones and stuff. The U.S. Army needs that. Um, and we actually need to test if carriers are still the way to go. So you might be shocked at that statement. Remember that in World War II or prior to World War II, the effectiveness of a country's navy was measured by the number of battleships they had, and in fact, there was two methods of thought to shipbuilding. You either focus on battleships or focus on cruisers. So it was measured by the number of battleships. When push came to shove and combat actually started, battleships were nearly useless. So it is possible that carriers could be very useless when it comes to the next generation of fighting. It could be that in case instead of a expensive carrier with plane hangars and all that stuff, maybe all you need is a carrier stripe size ship with with many landing bays for drones for to launch drones. So it will be more like a hive ship or something like that, if you can envision it, where a lot of drones are launched from. So our entire ethos of warfare may change. So for all of and so lastly, to the people telling you it's Israel, no, Israel has nothing to do with this. Israel is a regional power. It has regional interests. Israel wants to be the regional overlord working for United States. So sometimes our interests align in this case, so we help them. Sometimes there are allies, so we help them, but they without really risking anything. But sometimes, if it goes against our will, we tell them to stop. For example, way back when in Desert Storm 1, I think, Israel was told not to hit back against Iraq or other countries so that the Arab states would not leave the coalition. Okay, so in essence, like what I was saying, it's not Israel. It's purely due to China, and we cannot say it because it would cause a diplomatic incident. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I will catch you next time. Have a great day.